I find you very rude.
The Novympia channel is made possible by our gorgeous patrons who get early access, exclusive content, and buyer's remorse.
And a Nova note to our newest patrons: Christina Mendoza, Carol Belanga, Chris Cannon, Andrew Davis, B Bopper, Fred Bear, Chris and Alex, Alex Romain, Paul O.C., Rebecca McIntosh, Lee Q, and Tom.
Let's start the shit show.
Oh hi, alright. I, like a lot of you guys, purchased the NikkieTutorials Beauty Bay palette, and I thought I'd follow suit. Everybody's doing little video reviews, everybody's doing makeup looks, and I wanted to have a little play around with this baby. And today I have copied one of the promo looks that Nikkie did for the launch. I'll put up a picture here. Obviously being in drag, covering my brows, I've had to adapt it a little bit, but I feel like it's got the spirit of it, and I think it's really cute actually. As I'm doing my makeup, it's just gonna be a voiceover, I'm afraid, because we had Shah around for a video, and Olympia was getting ready as well, so I couldn't like speak as I was doing it, and we have fans going because it's bloody hot in here. So I'm gonna play now me messing around with the palette, my first impressions of some of the colours. I'll tell you exactly what I'm using, how I'm applying it, and give you an idea as to my first impressions of this palette. I just want to say the lighting is really, really sketchy. I'm kind of like at my makeup station, dressing table situation, and I've not really figured out how to film here yet. So I've been moving lights around during the whole of the filming, and I just never really quite got it right. So apologies for that. I'll put up some pictures as well of the final look so you guys can really, really see what it ended up looking like, because I am concerned that most of it's going to just look like shit in like the dark lighting. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I've already put down a base of Clown White. I think it's really important to put an eyeshadow primer or white underneath these shadows, as they are actually pressed pigments which do behave differently to eyeshadows. So first of all, to try and recreate the look that I've pinched from beautybay.com's Instagram, I'm going in with Blend and Snap on the inner corner, and I'm taking this right from the lid all the way to the upper brow. I'm assuming that's the colour that she's used. It looks a little bit different in the picture. It looks a little bit darker, but that could just be a filter, but this is the only pink in the palette, so it must be the same one. I'm really packing this in, and it does build up. It does blend quite nicely, this pink, but it's a bit of a strange consistency if you're used to like softer eyeshadows. You've really got to build it up and pack it in there to get the pigment really at its full potential, but it does work. It blends nicely, and you can see the results on screen. I'm busy picking up the product with the brush, and then I'm first of all packing it into the eye before blending it out with circular motions. I quite like to bring down whatever colour I've got on the inside into my nose contour a little bit. I don't think Nikkie did that in the original look, but I just think it looks quite nice to kind of tie together the contouring and the eyeshadow. I always do that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, so I mean, ignore that if you don't want to do that. Now I'm going in with the shade Amsterdam, which looks blue online, and it is kind of like a navy colour, but it's definitely got a real purpley tone to it. It's quite a warm blue, or a very, very cool purple. This I really struggled with, this colour. I know that blues and purples are very difficult to create decent vegan formulas with, but I've seen Nikkie on her channel use this, and it always comes out amazing, so maybe it's just my technique, but I really struggled to get the pigment out of this. I really had to pack in a load of product to get that kind of opacity. I guess if this was more of like a sheer look or a day look, a more wearable look, then that wouldn't be such a problem, but as a drag queen I want a real opaque, pigmented, saturated colour, and I really struggled to achieve that with this colour, I have to say. So that was Amsterdam, but eventually, just after layering it, I have to say that with all of this, all the colours in this palette, you can really layer them up, so that is a positive, but I was a bit surprised at how much work this colour took to get to where I wanted it. So I then primed my under eyes with a little bit of the Clown White again, and I smudged that out with my finger so it kind of blended out into my cheekbone. And now I've gone back in with Blend and Snap on the bottom outer corner of the eye, and I've taken that all the way to the middle of my under eye and all the way meeting the Amsterdam at the outside, and blending all of that together. To try and create some intensity in the outer corner, I've also blended in a little bit of Slasher, which is this kind of, or Nikkie calls it mulberry purple, and that just creates a little bit of a smoky look, and just gives it a bit more depth in the outer corner there. Because I'm not doing like a massive winged liner like I normally do, I wanted to get a little bit of depth in there as well, and the pink colour wasn't quite doing it for me, so I went in with Slasher, and that also helps to blend the pink in with the blue, this purpley sort of colour. Now I'm taking Amsterdam again on the inner corner underneath my eyelid. It's kind of like almost like a Harlequin sort of look, this eyeshadow look, where you've got the 4 quadrants of opposing colours. So this Amsterdam that I'm doing now on the inner corner matches the outer corner of the upper lid, and vice versa. For the very inner corner, I'm taking my finger and I'm picking up this shimmer shade Ivy. This is stunning. My first impression, I was quite underwhelmed because you don't really see, I'm used to using like glitters on the inside, but when you look at it on camera, it's really, really bright. You'll see later on though that I did actually doubt this at first, and I used some glitter on top just to really, really make it pop, because I wasn't convinced that this would be enough shimmer for the look that I wanted to do. But I think in hindsight, it probably was enough on its own. And I've also taken the same colour Ivy and I'm putting that on the lid, and at first I started to blend that up towards the brow because I felt like that is how Nikkie has hers in this picture, but I could very quickly see that that was a mistake because it just brought out the texture of my eyebrow coverage. It was a silly thing to do. I should know by now that putting shimmers on top of eyebrow coverage is ridiculous. If you shave your brows, you can absolutely get away with it, but all it does is highlight every single little bit of texture if you've not got a perfectly smooth eyebrow. So I would not recommend putting shimmer over eyebrow coverage. So I then went back in and tried to cover up the shimmer that I had put on top of the eyebrow, but I definitely packed in a lot of this Ivy colour on the lid. I don't know, I just felt like, yes, it was pretty blinding on first impression, but then I don't know, the more I looked at it, I felt like it was getting lost, so I just kept packing more and more and more. Absolutely use your fingers for these shimmer shades. It does say with the palette, you get a little card saying to use the use your fingers for these shimmer shades. They're so soft and so buttery. If you go using brushes to stab in with them or press too hard, you will ruin the pans. They're almost like creamy, so just pick it up with your finger and then pop that onto your lids. Nikkie says that you can blend it out with a brush afterwards. I didn't do that, I just used my fingers. To set the very, very top corner underneath my brow, I have actually used a white colour from a Beauty Bay Neon Matte. I believe it's probably a similar formula, so I thought it'd be good to kind of like use the same brands. But that's the only eyeshadow or pressed pigment that I've used outside of this palette on my eyes. So here I've put lashes on off camera, and I've also used NYX liquid liner. I've done a very, very small wing for me, and then I'm going back in with, like I mentioned, the glitter on the inside because I just didn't trust that that was draggy enough. Nikkie's picture, she's got these cute little diamond shaped rhinestones, and I had some very, very similar, but they were quite a bit bigger, but I thought that worked as well because my whole eye is bigger. So I'm just gluing those on now with some lash glue, and then here is the final look. Apologies for the lighting, you can see how different it looks in different lighting, but I thought this looked really cute. This is very, very different for me, very soft and very blended, whereas normally I go for much more kind of geometric shapes and I always go for that massive wing and a cut crease. So this is quite different for me and I really enjoyed it. Here I'm using an MUA Makeup Academy liquid lipstick. I'll put up the exact colour here, and then I'm going over with a NYX lip gloss. And this is the final look before I've put hair on, so you can get a really good look at it without any obstructions. So like you've already seen at the beginning of this video, this is the final look all together. I put on some lashes, some liner. This liner is really, really small for me. I normally go a lot bigger, so I'm a bit like, do I like this? Not really sure. I love the color scheme, though. I mean, you guys know that I love blues and purples, so I had to go for that look. As for the palette itself, first of all, I love the packaging. Packaging is super cute. Nobody can complain at the price. It's £25 in the UK, so that is insane. A lot of people have been going on about how crazy amazing these shimmers are, and I think for kind of day looks, 100% amazing. And if you're the kind of person that shapes their brows, I think a shimmer would be great. They really are pretty blinding. But for myself, I had to be very, very careful, and I'm always careful with shimmers anyway because they do bring out the texture brow coverage. So if you're wearing a shimmer from this palette in drag, over covered brows, just be careful because they reflect the light and it does bring out any kind of textures that you have. So I've just stuck to the lids for myself. I also used the shimmer on the inside, but thought it wasn't enough, so I've added some glitter there just to give it an extra like pop for like a drag queen. I like the idea that this palette has kind of got like a cutesy bright side and like a dark side, but really if you took away the black and the pink gradient, I don't see that. It's all pretty bright. There aren't really many dark shades in there. Like this green is basically neon and it's on like the dark side. There's some really, I think it's just kind of more neutral tones. The cooler tones are here and these are like the warmer tones. It's not the most varied palette. There's a lot of like repetition here. So you've got a lot of like fiery colors. There's a lot of browns, reds, oranges, yellows, and there's a couple of blues. It's not, like I said, it's not the most varied palette, but you can definitely create some really good looks with it. I liked the formulas on almost everything. I will say, however, that this blue was very tricky. I think as well, being pressed pigments and vegan, I know that blues and purples can be quite tricky to work with, but I really had to build it up. I had to layer it up again and again, and it did allow me to do that. But I've used blues from other palettes in the past where I don't have to do that at all. I can just do one sweep and blend it out and it's fine. This required a little bit of extra work, so just bear that in mind going into it. The warmer colours definitely came off a lot better in that respect. Any complaints really for £25, it doesn't matter. Even if I had half of this palette as being useful, £25 for a palette of this size is so reasonable. And you know that you're supporting a really cool LGBT creator on YouTube, which I think is amazing. So I would definitely recommend this palette. I really enjoyed working with it. And I really like this look that it came out in the end. It's different for me. It's not a cut crease. It's not the crazy like winged liner that I normally do, but I like it. I think it's cute. Have you got this palette? Please comment down below if you agree or disagree with my feelings about it. I know that it's sold out really quickly. I think they're going to be doing a restock though. If they are, I'll put a link in the description below. But give us a follow on social media. It's all on the screen right now. And if there's any other palettes or like celebrity collaborations that you want me to take a look at and review, let me know in the comments. Alright guys, I'll speak to you soon. Mwah. Bye.
Join our Patreon, make your parents not proud.